Yesterday was Monday, September 30th, National Truth and Reconciliation, and it is a statutory holiday. It's quite new federally, but a lot of government employees did not go to work. And now we're Tuesday, the start of the week for a lot of people here in Canada, but more specifically just the news, right? Everything is back in session, and we hit the ground breaking our legs, twisting our ankles, and stumbling down a hill into horrible news. So Israel has been bombing the absolute crap out of Lebanon, having, hundreds of thousands of people forced to evacuate, essentially killing the top leaders of Hezbollah, right? I mean, that's good. They're getting rid of terrorists. But Iran, who's, in ties with Lebanon, is saying, yeah, now we're coming for you. So they've now said they're going to bomb the absolute crap out of Israel. And Putin also says, hey, Israel, get out of Lebanon or we're also getting involved. And so now we're about to see insane escalations. And we've all been focused on kind of the two big different wars, right? Ukraine, Russia, Israel, and the Middle East. And now Putin is diverting a good amount of his attention and some of his resources to the Middle East and kind of shifting away from Ukraine. And so this is just going to get absolutely out of hand. And that's just the wars. We're not even talking about Canadian stuff yet. Canada's involvement with what's going on is very controversial. We have a bunch of planes to bring people from Lebanon back here, I suppose. So there's also that. But then there's also the fact that Pierre Poilievre has called, I can't help but laugh because it's funny because he just did this last week. Pierre Poilievre called for another vote of non-confidence. He's saying the people want an election, let's give the people an election. So today, after question period, which, by the way, is going to start in like a couple of hours, I highly recommend you guys go over to my other channel, House of Canada. I'm going to do my best to link it down below in the description. I'll do my best to link the stream down below in the description, because question period today is going to involve a vote of non-confidence after the whole question period debacle. Now, what's going to happen from that? Are the Bloc or the NDP going to flip-flop from what they did a week ago and vote in favor of the non-confidence? We can only hope, but Pierre is being, it's like poking mom or dad, going, hey, mom, mom. I mean, it's funny. I like it. I'm here for it, and I'm definitely going to be watching that vote. We have a lot of other stories in the mix, so do not feel like those are the only two major things to stick around for this video for. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you all to smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does really help grow the channel. We are very close to 410,000 subscribers, and the only way we can get there is if you guys, the community, actually take that leap of faith and subscribe. And also, just check to see if you are still subscribed. A lot of people have been manually or automatically unsubscribed by YouTube, so yeah, there's that to watch out for. But without further ado, let's get into this video. For those that missed it yesterday, we do have an update in the polls. You got Pierre Poilievre, who's up from 220 at 221, with a bottom line of 195, top end of 246. So it's looking good, right? He only needs 172 seats. Justin Trudeau is at 61. He's gone down. He was at 64. Then you got the Bloc at 42. You got the NDP at 17. So even he's gone up. Oh my God. Hold on a second. Sorry. I have to zoom in. I forgot. My eyes don't work when it comes to the orange. 17 projected seats. There you go. 99% likely across the board for winning the most seats and odds of a majority government. So even though there's a shift in the polls, kind of positive for everyone except Justin Trudeau, it's still looking good for Pierre Poilievre nonetheless. Now let's get into some of these more international stories, including the war. It's got BlackRock, $10 trillion asset manager BlackRock is secretly preparing for the U.S. dollar collapse. And I think a lot of people are kind of anticipating something crazy to happen. We don't know what that's going to look like. Obviously, none of us can see into the future. But this has been an ongoing rhetoric for a very long time. And I just kind of want to pass a question off to you. How do you feel about this? Are you invested? Do you have money in the stock market, in the American market? Are you relying on other sources to hedge against the U.S. dollar collapsing, like gold? Let me know what you guys think down below. And then BRICS News, the official BRICS News account has said, Russia says Israel must immediately withdraw troops from Lebanon. And they're not messing around. U.S. officials have stated that the Iranian attack against Israel will most likely happen in the next 12 to 24 hours during their night, so later on in the day for us. But as we're about to see, they've already started. So there was speculation as to what they would be using. Iran is preparing an imminent missile attack on Israel, says the U.S. They thought there might be drones, but it turns out that Axios reports that the Islamic regime in Iran will only launch ballistic missiles against Israel at this time. No drones or cruise missiles. The ballistic missile will reach their targets in Israel within 12 minutes. And, I mean, you got a lot of other countries, too, that are rapidly approaching with vessels to these areas, right? America, obviously on standby. America's deployed a couple different fighter jets in the area. You have the American warships in the area. You have France warships just got deployed to these regions. Over at least one France warship got deployed over the weekend. And so it just feels like shit's about to hit the fan, right? No matter how you look at it. And then the U.S. Embassy in Israel issues a high alert for its employees, ordering them to return home and stay near air raid shelters as an Iranian attack is believed to be imminent. And while all this is happening, you have the Israeli Prime Minister is going to hold an emergency telephone call with Putin to see if they can figure this out before shit actually does hit the fan. And then Canada's involvement. So Canada secures 800 plane seats over the next 3 days to help its citizens get out of Lebanon. But that's not all. You also have Justin Trudeau's reportedly mistress is saying this about Palestine. And this is shared, by the way, by the State of Palestine, the official X account of Palestine, saying Canadian Minister Mélanie Joly is standing up for a two-state solution. This is wild. And this is, I mean, very controversial and contradicting within Canadian Parliament, because there are a significant amount of Jewish MPs in Canada on the Liberal side, on all sides, right? And so this is a very conflicting piece because, I mean, you have some MPs representing the government, like Mélanie Joly, saying we recognize this two-state solution, and then you have Jewish MPs saying that this is, anti-Semitism, and it's just craziness. It's craziness. But let's take a look at what she has to say.
The government of Israel is against the creation of a Palestinian state. Violence against Palestinians by extremist settlers and expansion of settlements by Israel in the West Bank continue unabated, and this is unacceptable. Canada supports the creation of a Palestinian state. That is why we are providing security and development support to Palestinians themselves. We will officially recognize the state of Palestine at the right time, when it is the most conducive to building a lasting peace, and not necessarily as the last step of a negotiated process.
So let me know what you guys think down below in the comments about what Mélanie Joly is trying to propose. Are you for it? Are you against it? My own personal opinion is Canada's doing a phenomenal job of pissing off everybody by trying to solve everybody's problems. But that is on par with how Canada has been run over the past 9 years. So, hey, not much longer, though. We don't know. Maybe there's a vote of non-confidence today that's successful. But here's what Jagmeet Singh has to say about the vote of non-confidence when he's down in the TTC trying to pander to whomever he tries to pander to, and a reporter asks him about this this vote that's happening today.
No confidence motion being tabled this afternoon in Ottawa. Will the NDP be supporting it?
No. We said before, we're not going to play the conservative games, and we're not going to support Pierre Poilievre, who wants to cut healthcare, cut pensions. I think things are bad right now, and they are. With Justin Trudeau, Pierre Poilievre would make things even worse.
Mr. Singh, the Bloc has made their conditions for continued support of this Liberal government known. The Liberals haven't yet committed to their demands, but we at least know what they are. I know you said you're not looking for another supply and confidence deal, but is the NDP's support moving forwards conditioned on anything in particular?
Yeah, you're right. We're not looking for any deal. The deal is torn up. We're not looking for any new deal. Any bill that comes forward, we're going to negotiate to find a way to get as much possible for Canadians. So as the bill comes forward, If the Liberals need our help, we're going to negotiate to find ways to get people the help they need. With the Bloc, let's be really clear. They're looking at a minority government over 2.5 years, and they got nothing done for people. Now they're trying to make it like they care about pensions or they care about this or that. They got nothing done, and now they're scrambling to show that they're relevant. And clearly, the evidence shows that they're not. So next election is going to be a tough fight, no doubt. But there's a clear choice. The cuts of Conservatives and Pierre Poilievre, cutting your pension, cutting your EI, cutting your healthcare, or do Democrats want to strengthen healthcare, strengthen your pensions, want to improve EI? That's the choice.
Right. And so the Bloc, for those who don't know, has demands. The Bloc is positioned that they may actually be able to team up with the Conservatives. If it doesn't happen today, it's going to happen potentially at the end of October. There might be enough seats to actually be able to push forward a vote of non-confidence. The Bloc has made certain demands that we're going to take a look at later on at the end of this video, that if they don't reach it by October 29th, they have publicly said that they are going to call an election and that we're likely to see an election before Christmas. Now, a lot of people are saying, hey, nothing's going to happen. Trudeau's going to give in. He's from Quebec. You know, you got a lot of Liberal MPs from Quebec. They're going to do it. But I've seen the interactions in Parliament, and I know some of it is theatrical. I understand that. I'm dumb. I'm not that dumb. Look, what's going to happen is that you have a lot of conflicts. They're asking for more money. They're asking for a significant amount of more money, and the Liberal government is saying, hey, look, we've already given you a lot. You can't just strong-arm us into getting a shit ton more money publicly. And so for that reason, I do think that there is a high likelihood, like a 90% likelihood, that the Bloc says, you know what, we're done with this. We're not getting exactly what we want. And so we're going to vote in favor of a non-confidence. Now, if the Bloc, everyone from the Bloc and everyone from the Conservatives votes in favor of that non-confidence, and then you have everybody else who also votes against the vote of non-confidence, it's not enough. We're short by, just under 20 votes or 15 votes, something like that. It's close, but it's not enough. But if we were to be in that position, you can also abstain from voting, which means you don't vote yes, you don't vote no. You just choose, you protest basically to not vote. So it's not counted. So if that were to happen, the NDP could say, look, we don't know what's going on, we're not voting. Or even some rogue Liberal MPs could also abstain from voting, including the Green Party, right? So there's a lot of different outcomes, and I know there's a little bit of hopium involved. I know there's a lot of optimism involved. I totally understand that, but hey, man, Canada wants an election. And so I'm going to stay personally optimistic towards this possibly happening before Christmas. It'd be a phenomenal birthday present for me. I am born on Christmas after all. And I know what you're thinking. That's magical, but it's also shared with Justin Trudeau's birthday, which is also on Christmas. So yeah, when I found that out, my life really went downhill after that. But hey, let's continue on with the news and let's take a look at what the Bloc says later on in this video. I do want to talk about Vancouver. Now, Vancouver is on the map. Hey, Vancouver has made a record here in Canada. Just wait, because it's not what you think. Vancouver's wastewater contains the highest levels of fentanyl byproducts in Canada. Well, that took a turn, eh? Maybe I should have done a bit of a warning to you. According to new data from Statistics Canada, which analyzed drug residues in wastewater from various cities across the country, the findings show that Vancouver's fentanyl byproduct levels were 4 to 5 times higher than any other location studied, measuring between 28 and 46 milligrams per day per 1,000 people. The highest concentrations found in Edmonton and Toronto peaked around 9 milligrams. And this is because of our wacko, overly progressive, and try to be too inclusive Liberal NDP governments that have said, you know what? People obviously are addicted to these things. Let's just supply it for free. What could go wrong? Maybe something like this. That's a little scary. So if you're in the Vancouver region or in Toronto or Edmonton, just be careful. Maybe try to invest in a filter if that's at all possible, or bottled water. But yeah, fentanyl is in our water. So hey, That's always good. And then you've got Pierre Poilievre, you know, the initial or the actual recognition from the media saying that he's going to be voting for or putting forward a motion for a vote of non-confidence. Let's take a little look here. I got a couple videos about this.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre conceded that he did not have the votes from the Bloc Québécois or the NDP, but he challenged the Prime Minister to ignore the votes of those MPs and go straight to the people.
He's bragging that he has more politicians on his side. Isn't it really the case that in Canada, the people decide?
Monsieur Trudeau.
The Conservatives lost Wednesday's non-confidence vote, but they'll get another chance right away. The governing Liberals have designated Thursday as another so-called opposition day for the Conservatives, and the Conservatives will table a new non-confidence motion, which they will debate Thursday and vote on Tuesday. The government must give the Conservatives 5 of these opposition days between now and Christmas, and it looks like the government wants to get them out of the way as soon as possible, confident that future votes will go like Wednesday's vote.
Mr. Speaker, I believe this on today, we will see that this House does not have confidence in the leader of the Conservative Party.
To successfully go forward.
In the meantime, the Bloc Québécois on Wednesday said the price of its support is boosting old age security payments for young seniors, those aged 65 to 74, to match the richer OAS payments that seniors over 75 get. So that now becomes a very real possibility that young seniors could see their OAS boosted by 70 or 80 bucks a month. And the BQ wants that done by October 29th. So the government seems sure to survive at least until then.
I am entirely open to the idea of having such discussions with other party leaders.
Meanwhile, the New Democrats are unlikely to want to bring down the government until the National Pharmacare legislation becomes law. That legislation right now is stuck in the Senate, and senators appear to be taking their time with it. So that could stretch into the new year, and that could give the Liberals even more political insurance. David Aiken, Global News.
You know what else is in the new year? Jagmeet's pension. But hey, everybody and their grandma can acknowledge that Jagmeet isn't calling an election because of his pension. The only person in the world who seems to think otherwise is Jagmeet himself. What a coincidence. I've got one more video here to describe kind of what we're about to see this week.
TV's Colton Prail is following this story and joins us live right now with the latest. Colton, good morning. So why is Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre forcing another non-confidence vote after the Bloc Québécois said they'll support Trudeau and his government at least until October 29th?
It's going to be a busy week. There's actually 2 confidence votes this week, one today and, of course, one tomorrow as well, part of a Liberal motion that's moving through on the capital gains changes. But why are we here? Exactly to your point, we know that the Bloc is going to support this. We expect the NDP might as well. And so why put this motion forward? And part of it is because the Conservative Party and Pierre Poilievre does not have control over when their opposition days are. So they get 5 days in this sitting where they get to choose what's on the agenda at the House of Commons. There are 3 left after the 2 that we saw last week. So the Liberal government front-loaded that to try to bring forth these motions that they knew were coming because Pierre Poilievre said prior to this sitting even beginning that they would be coming. So they front-loaded those motions at a time where they might have some more support from other political parties. They're getting it from the Bloc, they're getting it from the NDP so far. So Pierre Poilievre is still going to bring forward these motions because there are some political benefits to it. First off, he can tie the opposition parties to supporting the government. The more times they vote in favor to keep the Liberals in power, the more he can say we're the only option that's trying to vote for change or trying to bring about an election. And we know about half of Canadians want that according to polling. But we are also seeing, too, that they don't expect these motions to pass. If you look at the wording of this motion compared to the one that came up last week that was much more simple, much more straightforward, we don't have confidence in the government or in the Liberal Party. That's it. We're done. This one talks more about conservative talking points. For example, it reads, Canadians offer Canadians the options to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. That's a conservative tagline. You're not going to see as many other parties voting to support that, but there is still some political benefit here. The challenge they run into, though, is that they may not have enough opportunity to bring up these votes when October 29th is passed, when potentially we could see the Liberals in a little more vulnerable position if they don't come to an agreement with the Bloc Québécois.
All right, never a dull moment in this session, that's for sure. That is CTV's Colton Prail live for us in Ottawa this morning. Colton, thanks for teeing it up.
Thank you.
So, nonetheless, it's going to be a very exciting day in question period, the back and forths and everything involved. And I do very much look forward to seeing you guys there. And just to kind of summarize everything that's happening here, this is what the Bloc has said, right? This is their threat for October 29th. Let's take a look.
What we are proposing is good for retired persons in Quebec, but also in Canada. It's good for milk and eggs and poultry product producer in Quebec, but also in Canada. So that's good for everybody. However, we will not ever support any motion or vote that would go against who we are. And who we are is well known. We will not vote in favor of something going against French language in Quebec or even in Canada. We will not vote in favor of something that would go against the collaborative of the state. We will not vote in favor of something that encourages or tolerates hatred in public speech. We will not vote in favor of something which would be bad for Quebec in terms of immigration. We will not go against who and what we are at whatever time you choose.
Right. And so those are some fighting words there by the Bloc. We're just going to have to wait and see how this plays out. You know, there's a lot of speculation that it's unlikely that we're going to see a positive vote for a vote of non-confidence today. But nonetheless, it does help, even if it doesn't go the way that we want it. It does help more and more Canadians to realize, because, I mean, there was a massive vote of non-confidence that did happen last week, but maybe not everybody in Canada, not every voter is aware of that. So doing it again does bring more awareness to the fact that, hey, the NDP tore up this deal. So why are they not voting, right? The Bloc criticizes heavily Justin Trudeau and the failing Liberal government and their policies. Why are they not voting? So it's a platform that shines on a national level, international, because anyone around the world can see it, how corrupt our Canadian Parliament is, how disingenuous some of these party leaders really are and party members. You know, they don't have to vote in favor of what their boss wants. Of course, that would cause a lot of problems for them. But, you know, all these Liberal MPs or even NDP MPs that are looking for, such as the Indigenous ones, right? The Indigenous NDP MPs that are criticizing Justin Trudeau's failed Liberal policy, saying, hey, why are Indigenous communities left without clean drinking water and infrastructure that you promised over 9 years ago? Well, now's your time to express your dissatisfaction with the government and literally vote. You have the ability to solve those problems by voting. This is the beautiful thing about our democracy. It just sucks that there's this stupid rat game of politics where they're all trying to blackmail each other. They're all trying to get something out of each other before. We all know Trudeau's not going to win. The NDP knows this, right? The Bloc knows this. Hell, Justin Trudeau and his own party, they know this. That's why they're jumping ship. So everyone's trying to suck it dry, especially Jagmeet, before eventually there's that election, whether it's artificially called through these votes of non-confidence or whether it goes the distance, you know, next year, October 2025. Whenever it happens, Trudeau is not going to win, and he's not going to have any bargaining chips left. So we're just going to have to wait and see how this plays out. But again, I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you think it's going to pass? Do you think it's not going to pass? Let me know your reasoning. That's the end of the video. On your way out, if you haven't yet already, I'd like to encourage you guys to smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully, I'll see you on the House of Canada live stream. Bye for now.